30 minutes before a client call, our AI bot quoted an old pricing from an old version of their website. It was embarrassing and it was risky, but I fixed it by turning their entire website into a live knowledge base. I can refresh on demand with just one click. I'll show you exactly how we built it, the 4 best use cases, and you will get the full workflow free, no gatekeeping. Quick thing before we jump into the setup. I know some YouTubers keep their workflow behind paywalls or private communities, but not here. I'm going to give you the N8N workflow you see in this video completely free. No communities, no login, just a link in the description you can import directly into your own N8N instance and tweak it however you like. If that sounds good to you, consider subscribing because every tutorial I post comes with the actual workflow. Let's get into it. Here is 4 use cases where this AI will actually beat any frontier AI model. The first use case is for developers. I hear you, and I know that code changes happens a lot and depreciations are wrecking, and the AI doesn't actually know which functions are depreciated. If it was depreciated after its cutoff date, it will never know that this function is depreciated and it can't use it. So you can use this AI workflow, this exact AI workflow, to train an AI model to be able to see if this function is depreciated or not, and it can update or adapt accordingly. The next use case is for website owners. So if you own a website and you want to create a chatbot for your website, you will have to create tons of documentation and tons of pages to give it to your chatbot. Yeah, but instead, using this exact AI workflow, you can take the URL of your website, insert it in the workflow, and it will gather all the documentation or all the information from your website, the latest information from your website only. And for sales, I know you that you're going to leak and look inside competitors' battle cards. Yeah, you're going to search their website for pricing, documentation, cases. Who are they working with? What are they using to actually accomplish something? So you're going to use competitors' websites to be able to have intel around them. Yeah, and for compliance, this is completely huge. Compliance is wrecking, and any change can actually change the whole case or the whole project. So in compliance, you need accurate data, up-to-date data. So you can use this exact workflow to gather all the documentation or all the regulations and laws from a website using this exact workflow. If you're ready, let's dive right into it. I'm Hadidiz, and let me show you exactly how is this going to work. So the first thing that we're going to need is a website URL, our target, our victim. This website will take the URL and we're going to insert it into the workflow. The workflow will go and crawl inside the website. So it will find every page and every link inside that same exact website. And we're going to extract it. Then we're going to convert it into Markdown, and we're going to chunk each part of that Markdown file and embed it so we can insert it into the database. And if you're new into Supabase and vector databases and how RAG actually works, so basically RAG is just a way of the AI model to be able to search inside text. So the AI can't search inside text because it will search for exact keywords, but we don't want that. We want it to search by the meaning of the word. So they invented a way where we are embedding each character or each word into a mathematical representation. So we are taking a text, representing it with numerical value. So that's embedding. So embedding means we're taking text, converting it into a numerical representation, and then store it inside a database. And then we're going to use an AI again with embeddings to search inside of that database. So let's say we have a text that means that says, what's your name? And a new line with, my name is Ahmed. Yeah. So the AI can search with what's your name, or it can search with what is the name. Yeah. So this is a different text. So if you understand code, that you know that the exact search phrase needs to match inside another search to be able to find the answer. But in here, that's not the case. We're going to search inside numbers. So the numbers will represent the meaning, not the exact word or not the exact phrase. This is basically how the embeddings work. So we're now storing the whole website as embeddings. So we can actually use the AI agent again to search inside this to get an answer or an accurate, up-to-date answer from its documentation. I'm actually very excited. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to sign up for FireCrawl. FireCrawl allows us to scrap the website, collect all the website pages and the website links, and convert it into a Markdown format. So sign up for FireCrawl for the free tier of FireCrawl, and then copy your API key. Then from there, we are going to have or create a new workflow here, which is going to handle the ingestion of the data into our Supabase database. The first thing that we're going to need is a trigger, a way to trigger this workflow to start. So for the sake of the simplicity of this tutorial, I chose the manual trigger, but you can add whatever trigger you need. Yeah. So I have here a manual trigger, which basically, as its name means, you can manually trigger this workflow. So we are going to use Crawl, a website, which is a node from FireCrawl. You will need to search FireCrawl here and then click on it and then click on the install. This will install FireCrawl nodes into your N8N. Now, once you have FireCrawl ready, select crawl a website. Yeah. And if after you add it, you will just need to add your credentials. So click create new credentials based in your API key that you got when you signed up for FireCrawl, and then save and exit this one. And now from the operation, leave it as crawl a website, then enter the URL of the website that you need to add as your knowledge base. And you can also add a prompt here to make FireCrawl use AI to extract data from that website. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to use it because I don't want to filter the data. I want everything from that website, which for this tutorial, I'm using the documentation website of N8N. And now you can limit how many pages or how many pages from that website to add into your database. So to have a faster result, I'm going to use 2 limit only. While I ran this before I start recording, so I already have around 50 pages in the database right now from that exact website. So for this tutorial, I'm going to run it only for 2 pages. And the delay here means how many seconds between each page. So FireCrawl needs to act as a human, so it doesn't act as a bot or a robot, so it doesn't get blocked from websites. So if you know that the website you are trying to crawl is actually strict in its bot behavior protection, so increase this delay. And note that it is actually in milliseconds, so you can increase this to a higher value. So basically here, a 100 millisecond is 0.1 of a second, so it doesn't even matter, yeah. And you can exclude some passes. So if you know that the website have a slash login, maybe for example, and you want to exclude it, yeah, so you don't want it to be in the results, add a pass here and click slash, and then the pass that you don't want it to include. You can also include specific passes, and you can also have some options, which means to add maybe ignore website map, ignore the query parameter, or allow external links. So allow external links mean that you will be able to also crawl any mentioned website inside the same website. So if docs.n8n have a link to another website, it will also go there and visit it. But for this tutorial, I'm having it as disabled because I only want to focus on N8N, nothing else. And we also have allow subdomains. So docs.n8n, docs here is actually a subdomain, yeah. But if we want to allow other subdomains as well, we can click on it and then allow subdomains. But for here, again, I'm using only the documentations from N8N, so I don't want any other subdomain, so I'm not going to enable it. That's all for the Crawler website, yeah. And if we ran this node to see what it actually gives us, so if I click execute step, you can see that it outputs an ID and a message saying success equal true, which means that it is now starting, or it has started the crawl process. And if we see in the logs of FireCrawl, you can see that it started. Now we need to check its status to see if this crawl process has finished or completed or not. So we're going to add a loop here. Yeah, we're going to have a switch, a wait node, and also a get crawl status. So I'm going to add a wait node and wait for 20 seconds between each ask. And then I'm going to ask now FireCrawl using the get crawl status node. So the operation here will be get crawl status, and we're passing in the crawl ID that we got from the other from the previous node. So if I click here, and let's also bin the data of this crawl a website so it doesn't run again by mistake if we run any other step here. So as you know, when you are working with a multi-branch of the same workflow in N8N, having the nodes as binned is very crucial, because N8N actually tends to run it even if you have the one of the nodes as binned but the others isn't. It will actually rerun the whole process again. So you need to bin it here. And the wait here, I'm going to also bin it so we don't need to wait. And then we're going to execute this step, which is going to ask if the status is done or not. And as you can see right now, the status is still scrapping. So it means that it didn't finish yet. So if I go now into the switch node here, we're going to use the rules mode. So the rules mode allows us to have some rules, and based on each rule, we will be able to choose which specific path to have. So right now, I'm going to create 2 branches, 2 main branches. The done branch, if the crawl status is actually done, so we're going to grab the status from here and have it into 2 routing rules. Going to grab the status here into 2 routing rules right there, and we're going to name each output. So this is still scrapping and this is done. So right now we see that the status is actually equal to scrapping. So if it's equal to scrapping, we're going to use the branch with the name still scrapping, and we're renaming the output here just to have a clear visualization when we are seeing the workflow. Also, we have the status as completed. When it's going to be done, we will have the status as completed. So right now I have the 3 previous nodes as binned. So let me run again the get crawl status. So what I can do now is I'm going to run it from here, and we can see that it is still scrapping. So this means that the website, the FireCrawl service hasn't finished crawling the website. So it takes time. Be patient. Now around 2 minutes have passed, and now we can check the status again. So if we execute the step, we can see that it now got into the done tab and the status is now completed. So now that we know that the status can be completed and can be scrapping, so I added here scrapping and I added it completed. And then we're also using an extra fallback output as an extra output. So this means if this fails, it will just go into this ending branch. So this branch will just make the workflow stop. So it doesn't actually add anything. And now if we check that closely, we will see that there is an array inside of that JSON, the output, an array of Markdown. Yeah. So if I can see here, I can see that there is an array of 2 Markdown objects, 1 and 2, because I'm having 2 results. Yeah. So I want to split them out. So each item will be alone. Like we can see data 0 and data 1 inside of this switch. We want to split them out. So we have each item separately. So it will trigger the workflow to run for each item separately. So we're going to drag the data field here and just input it inside the fields to split out. And if we execute this step, it will actually say split the items. So if you can look closely, you can see that there was 1 item and now the output is 2 items. And the regular output of FireCrawl actually have Markdown content. So the Markdown content is the actual main body content of that web page. But if we want to have this Markdown and the title and the description alone, we will need to use some sort of filter. Yeah. So we're going to use the node here, which is called edit fields. So we're going to create a new field and we will name it data. You can name it anything. And we're going to insert the Markdown of that item. And from the metadata, we're going to select or choose the title and the description. So we're going to use the title and a new line description and a new line Markdown. So if we execute the step here, you can see there is the title. So the title here was debug helper N8N docs. So debug helper N8N docs. Then the description, which is this. And as you can see here in this JSON preview, we can see that the new line is actually a /n. Okay. So /n documentation from bugger. So I can also add a space here. So after the /n, there is actually a space. So I'm going to add 2 spaces before the /n. It's totally fine. The AI will understand it. You don't need to do this. I'm just trying to have it more organized or more visualized here. Now for the important part. We're going to insert these documents inside of the database, inside of Supabase vector store. So we're going to go into supabase.com and then sign up for a free account and then create a project. And after that, you will be presented with this project dashboard. Then you will have to click on connect. Make sure the direct connection method is selected and then view parameters here. And then copy the host, okay? And add a Supabase vector store node. So search in Supabase and select the Supabase vector store. After you select it, double click on it and then create a new credentials and paste in the host in here. And you will also need the service role secret. So where do you get that from? Okay. You will have to go into the project settings here and then API keys here, and then copy the service role key, which is here, click reveal and then copy it. After you copy it, just paste it inside of here. Great. Click save and exit this one. I already have it set up, so I'm not going to add it again. And once you have that done, now we need to have also one more credentials added. So we're going to add a new Postgres node, and you can also connect Postgres to your Supabase. So Postgres is actually the underlying engine that is working or that is making or powering Supabase. So we're going to visit this Postgres node, and we're going to create a new credentials. And you will, inside of Supabase, you will click on connect. You will select the method as session pooler here, and then view parameters, and you will copy your host, your database name, and your user name. So we're going back into N8N, paste the host in, paste the database name, and also paste the user that you have got. Now you also need a password, yeah? Where do you get the password from? Once you have this here, you will see a reset your database password if you don't remember your database password. So click on database settings, and then from here, just reset the database password. This is the password of the database of this project. It's not your account password, so it's totally different. Just reset it, and then from here, just insert your password here. And very importantly is to enable ignore SSL issues. Just enable this one and make sure the port is 5432, which is also seen here in the connect of the view parameters of the session pooler. You can see the port here is 5432. After that, click save and all well. Now you need to run this SQL query to have it set up the table of documents, and it will also create a function called match documents. So the table document will house or host all the embeddings that you have, or all the website pages that you have as embeddings. So it will store them as embeddings, which is actually vector. Yeah. And we're also going to create a function where it will help the table search for a new data or a data that is actually inside that exact table. So you don't have to worry about all of this. Just run this query, click execute step here. Once it ran, you will see inside your Supabase, inside the table editor, you will see that you have now the documents table. You will only have the documents table, and it will have content, metadata, and embeddings, but it will be clear. It will not have data inside of it. I now have already ingested a website, so there is some data inside of it. Yours will be completely new and clear, which is totally fine. Now we're ready to actually insert the data, yes? So we're going to double click on the Supabase vector store, and we're going to select the operation mode as insert documents, and we're going to select our table, which is documents table. But make sure you don't select the RPC match documents. You only want the documents table, yeah? And we're going to select an embedding batch size. So I'm selecting here 400. So this means that if it got 400 embeddings all at once, it will just do it. You can just keep it at the default or use my settings, which is 400, totally fine. And now the query name is actually the function name. If you didn't edit the SQL that I gave you, and if you ran exactly what I'm doing, you will just have it as mine, which is match documents. And what I'm referring to is this SQL. So it's this match documents function. So now in this Supabase vector store, you need to add the default data loader. Now we're going to select the type of JSON, and then we're going to load all data input. And text splitting will be custom. So we're going to use the recursive character text splitter. Double clicking on that, we're going to select the chunk size of 3000. This chunk size means that every 3000 chunk or every 3000 characters, we're going to split the document, to split that exact web page. And we're going to also have a chunk overlap between each split of a 100, which is totally fine. I found that this is the sweet spot when I'm using GPT-5. So I'm going to also use the split code syntax to be selected as Markdown, because the ingested data is actually in Markdown. And I'm going to also add an embeddings model, to this. So we're going to select text embeddings 3 small from OpenAI. If you still didn't connect your OpenAI account to this N8N before, just simply click here, click create credentials, and only add the API key if you're using the personal project. And then you click save, test, and it will be done. Now we're ready to actually insert the data. Now we already have 2 web pages here ready to be ingested. So if we click on run here, we can see that it will actually run, and it will ingest the 2 documents. It is now ingested. Now we need something to test, we need to be able to run this workflow or use this data. So we're going to create a simple AI chatbot that you can have using N8N. Now we're going to add an AI agent. We're going to use an AI agent to be able to ask it any question about the website, and it will have all the answers from the exact documents of that website. So we're actually using an on-chat message. So we are going to add this widget here. If we added the trigger of when chat message received, now we're going to also add an AI agent here, and we're going to leave everything as the default, but we can also add a system prompt here. We are going to tell it that you are a helpful assistant that have all the documentation of N8N. Use the tools to answer the questions. Now, we're actually almost ready. We're going to also add an OpenAI chat model here, and we're going to use that GPT-5 mini, and we're also going to use the memory of Postgres. You don't have to add it, but it's actually a nice add. So if you have Postgres connected before, you will also insert or add this chat memory, or you can also use the simple memory here. But I'm going to use Postgres. So Postgres chat memory, we're going to have it select a table name of N8N chat histories, and we're going to give it the last 5 messages only. And you don't have to create the table inside of Supabase. You can just enter the name, and it will auto-create that table. And also, we're going to add the tool now, which is Supabase Vector Store tool. We're going to click plus and search for Supabase, and then we will see the Supabase Vector Store. Inside of here, we were going to select the operation mode of retrieve documents as a tool for AI agent. So this means that this tool will be able to be connected to an AI agent, and the AI agent will actually be able to insert an input in this tool, and the tool will go ahead and search in the database of Supabase. So we're going to select to give it also a description. Use this tool to get up-to-date, accurate information from N8N documentation, and this is simple description. We can give it a more complex prompt or a more complex description that will help the AI or guide the AI to use this tool. The table name will be the documents. That's stable because we are also inserting the documents in the documents table. And we're going to limit the results of each question to only 4, and we're going to include the metadata. Now, we can also add re-ranker. A re-ranker means that there will be another AI that will be responsible to re-rank each result. But for that, you will also need to use another service provider, which is called Coherence. But we're not going to use that for the sake of simplicity. And we can also go ahead now and test the AI agent. Hello? What is the best example from the docs that you have? We're giving it a very easy question because we don't have a complex prompt or system prompt message. So we can see here in the logs, it searched for the best example or tutorial in the documents that we have in Supabase. We're seeing that in the logs here. And we can see that the response or the results was a longer introduction, create your first workflow in N8N. That's the first document that it got. The second document was about video courses. The third document was about test the workflow, and the fourth document was about N8N documentation guides. So it pulled up a lot of documents, 4 documents, which are the results, and now it has context or awareness about the history or the documentations of N8N. You can simply use this exact workflow in any kind of website or any different use case. So that's all for today. I hope that you liked it. If you have any question, feel free to leave the question down in the comment section. And if you have any business inquiries, feel free also to reach out. Happy to help. Ciao.